Comparison is the thief of joy. Comparison will stop you in your tracks if you allow it to. And I always want to just point that out, because sometimes we don't even realize that we are doing it, because it's just such a second nature thing, as we just see so many other people nowadays. We get so much exposure, and it can be a really interesting way to play into how we want to do things or how we think something should be based off of what someone else is doing. And so whatever you're setting out to do for your business, just keep that in the back of your head always, no matter what you come across, because that is what matters. You're at the beginning of your journey, and that is something that is so important. No one can take that away from you. And yeah, I just really wanted to share that. Hey guys, welcome back to Stationary Muse channel. My name is Tatiana, and I'm the owner of the Stationary Muse, as well as a business coach and mentor for women wanting to start their own creative businesses. And I'm so excited that you are here today. Clearly, if you clicked on this video, you're having some problems, possibly, with consistency in your business. And I can definitely understand this. One reason I wanted to talk about this topic is because over the last really just year or so of talking to different women, giving advice, and being asked certain questions, one of the main questions I get asked is, how do you stay consistent with your stuff? How can I be more consistent in my business? And I think that that's a great question to ask. And I think it is so directly tied to the success and the growth of your business. And so we're going to talk about it today. Let's talk about how to be more consistent with your business. Okay, guys. So the first thing I want to just say about consistency in general is that I think it's one of those things that it really is more of a learned type of aspect. And I mean that because, okay, even just for my example, I think it's great that people think I'm consistent. I hear it all the time, and it means a lot to me, but it means that what I set in place, the plans that I put in place, the things that I've taken on and learned how to do are what makes it consistent. So if you are in a situation where you're trying to start a business, you don't really know what you're trying to do, you don't know what's the first thing to start, you don't know how to do this, you don't know where to get this printed, you don't know, I'm just saying all the things that you don't know, which is typically anytime you're starting something new, we go into it with some level of knowledge, and then some where we're just kind of okay, what am I supposed to be doing here? And so when you start to build up that knowledge library of things, it makes it a lot easier for you to set up a plan, which then can be okay, now I can be consistent because I actually know what I'm doing. I know how to follow through with everything because I can see it plainly what I need to do first. So the first question I really want to ask you guys is, what is the goal that you want for consistency? So when you say, or you think oh, I wish I could be more consistent, what do you mean? Really think about that. It's really easy to say oh, I want to be more consistent, but what do you want to be more consistent with? Is it social media? Is it putting yourself out there, sharing what you have to offer? Is it working on your business or your website? Is it creating new products? What is it that you want to be more consistent with? It looks different for all of us. For me, being consistent is when I literally do the plans I set out to do. I like to do 2 videos a week on YouTube. I like to show up on social media 3 to 4 times a week. And I like to, as far as even bigger than that, I like to come out with a release every quarter, a big collection release once a quarter. And then I have my box that I do every other month. So that's consistency to me. What does it look like for you when you say that, or when you look at someone and you say man, they're really on top of it, they're really consistent? What are those things that you admire or that you want to take on as far as your path of consistency? And what are those things that you admire and you would want to take on for your particular business? And it looks different for all of us, honestly. So, I know some people, consistency for them is they need to be present and showing up every day. They post videos every day. They're on social media every day. They don't miss a beat. I personally, that actually becomes overwhelmed for me. There's a very thin line between being consistent and being overwhelmed. And you also have to kind of find that too and, navigate through that as well. But yeah, so what is consistency for you? let's picture that first and kind of have that in the back of your mind as we continue on through this video. I think the next thing, once you kind of know what consistency looks like for you and where you are on this level, and I'm really going to speak specifically to my people that are kind of in the beginning stages of getting started on this one. The next thing you want to do is to lay out the steps and know, okay, once I finish this, then I'm going to get to this, and once I finish this, and I'm going to go to this this next step, and then so on and so on and so on. But you have to know what those steps are. And one thing that I really like about this process is that it can be very customized for everyone, because of course we all have different businesses, different lives, and different things like that. But set a goal for yourself. Once you figure out what that consistency piece is, if you're getting started and you think like, okay, I want to get consistent about actually starting my business. I want to launch my business in 3 months from now. Let's just use that as an example. Okay, so you want to do that now, and you know what consistency means for you. Consistency means you are going to be releasing this business. And there'll be little individual things that make up what that is, but it's important to know what exactly you need to do to get there, right? So I wanted to let you guys know that the First 10 training is back. And I want to just share this first because since you're watching my video, you may have some level of interest in what I have to say. Hopefully I'm here to help and to serve you guys as much as I possibly can. And I actually did a training back in May called the First 10, which went really, really well the first time around. And I'm going to be teaching it one more round again live. And so I wanted to just share really quickly with you. So the First 10 training is basically a 10-step group training where we would get on Zoom. We'll be on there for 90 minutes together, and I will walk you through literally the first 10 steps to get your business started. We really focus on fear that you may be feeling, the foundation that you need to set, like the who, the what, the why. We move into getting official, which is a video that I actually did last week, I think, about how to get official, but we even talk about it even more in depth and get even more into it. And then from there, we jump into how to create a home online, your website, and how to create a product, what goes into that process, and how do you get that from the product idea phase to an actual thing that people are going to be able to purchase from you. How do you launch it? How do you build your email list? And then we kind of round it out with some social media planning and your future planning beyond just your first initial launch. So we talk about a lot of stuff in that 90 minutes, and it's literally almost like taking my 12-week private coaching program that I have and shrinking it down into 90 minutes. It is a little bit more than it was last time, but I've also added some things into the training itself, as well as really added a ton of resources too. Registration is open right now, and there are limited slots, but I have 2 dates available. So definitely check it out if that's something you're interested in. I just wanted to share because it fits so hand in hand with this topic of consistency, because this is kind of like your first step to being like, okay, you know what? I've made the decision to start my business. I'm kind of tired of wasting my time researching and stuff like that. It's not really getting me anywhere. Let me go ahead and see what this is about and maybe start the First 10 process. Click the link down below if you have any questions. My contact information and all that stuff will be available to you guys as well. But I say all of this to say that you want to have those steps in place. You want to know, like, okay, now that I know what I'm doing, how am I going to get there? That is a huge piece that can be very empty if you don't know what to do. But one thing that I would suggest, even if you do the First 10 training or you don't do the First 10 training, is to just take a moment to write down, like, okay, I know I want to start my business. Maybe you have a date in mind. Take a moment to just write down some of the things that you think happen along the way. And then that's how you can kind of DIY your way through it. That's what I did when I started realizing I wanted to start my business. Back in 2015, I started just slowly researching it and looking up the information, and that's how I got there, and gradually it started to happen and it started to unfold. And I know you guys have busy lives, so pick a moment in your day where you can dedicate a half hour or an hour to your new business, even if it's just a couple days out of the week. This is my dedicated time to work on this. Maybe you have it in your planner, what you want to accomplish for that week. And that is how consistency happens. It's really just setting yourself up for a plan. It's putting those steps in place so that you have something to work towards, And before you launch a business, you don't really have a lot to be consistent with as far as social media and those kind of things, but it's just really more so like showing up for yourself in a sense of, okay, I'm ready ready to learn. I'm ready to do what I need to do to get from point A to point B. So let me go ahead and put that time in. And that's what it comes down to. I think I've been saying this a lot lately too, but it does come down to sacrificing to some extent. If you want this business, you're going to have to fit it into your already hectic, crazy life. Definitely watch the balance video if you guys haven't seen that one. I talk a little bit more about how to find some balance when it comes to fitting a business in your life, which, little hint, there is really no balance, but there are a lot of ways to do it and people are doing it every day. So that was a little bit longer than I probably wanted to talk about it, but it's one of the most important steps. If you want to be consistent, you have to have a plan in place and you have to know what's next to know whether you're making progress. So hopefully that makes sense, but yeah, definitely check out the training, you guys. I think it will be a big help to you if you're feeling kind of all over the place. Another tip I wanted to give around consistency is don't compare yourself. What I have found just as I continue to grow in this social media age is that it's very easy to see a picture of something that someone has done, or if you go to their website and you see all of what they have to offer, you look in their comments and you see all the people engaging and interacting and different things like that. It's very easy for you to feel like, wow, I'm behind, or wow, I have a long way to go. There's so much I need to do to get to that point. And I get it, but I want you to take a moment to think about, okay, this is where they're at now. Where were they at on day one when they first started, or even before day one? Where were they at when it was just an idea in their head and they were thinking, I really want to start this business? Like when I started the Stationary Muse, or before I started the Stationary Muse actually, I was really into planning and I knew that I wanted to create something for women to get more organized. And that was basically all I had in my head. I had some graphic design experience and just photography experience, so I knew I could kind of incorporate that into my new business. And outside of that, I was using A5 binders at the time, and so I was like, well, I guess I'll make some A5 planner inserts. And that was what I started my business with, was just literally I opened my shop with 2 A5 planner insert options. I had a 2 daily, which was like 2 days on a page, and then I had a daily planner insert with just like 1 day on a page. I started with that. And now if you go to thestationarymuse.com right now, you will see that there is clearly way more on there than a planner insert. I have a subscription box, I have stickers, I have notebooks, shirts, pouches, mugs, all of these different things, but it's also been almost 5 years. Do you see what I'm saying? So it's like, you can't really think about where someone is at right now as you're seeing them because you don't know where they came from. And it took me a while to start actually branching out into other things. Like I stuck with planner inserts for a while before I started adding other components into my shop. So I just want you to take a moment to just kind of step back, calm down, and really be like, okay, this person had to start somewhere. Let me just remember that as I'm making the plan of myself moving forward. If it's someone that you look up to or that you would like to model after, in a sense of like, you know, the way that they do things, or maybe the way their brand makes you feel, you would love to create something like that as well in your own unique way, then really look at it as if, okay, this is their journey, this is the end, even though they're not at the end, but look at it as like, this is the end right now, but this is where they started. And so when you're coming up with the idea in your head of like, I want to be more consistent, really think of it in terms of like, okay, if someone is, for example, if they are posting every day on social media, multiple times a day, they're going live, they're releasing stuff every other week, they have a subscription box, they are doing all the things, y'all. Keep in mind, they may have a team helping them. They really might have gotten it down from just trial and error over the years of building up to this point. So it's okay that you're just starting with just that one thing. And I'm going to really focus on that next, but I really just wanted to let you guys know that it's just, comparison is the thief of joy. Comparison will stop you in your tracks if you allow it to. And I always want to just point that out because sometimes we don't even realize that we are doing it because it's just such a like second nature thing, as we just see so many other people nowadays. We get so much exposure and it can be a really interesting way to play into how we want to do things or how we think something should be based off of what someone else is doing. And so whatever you're setting out to do for your business, just keep that in the back of your head always, no matter what you come across, because that is what matters. You're at the beginning of your journey, and that is something that is so important. No one can take that away from you. And yeah, I just really wanted to share that. So the next thing is to pick one thing, y'all. Again, this is another thing where I talk to different women, and we all want to do all of this stuff. So it's like you want to start this business and you're like, ooh, and I want to sell this and 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 all of these things you want to sell, but it's like, okay, hold up, back up, take a moment. Just like I shared with my story, I started with just one thing and I got good at that, and then I decided to add on to that. And I'm not trying to limit you and saying like, oh, you can only sell one type of item. You can do whatever you want, but I think that it's a lot easier to start a business. It allows for you to get up and running a little quicker as well, and to be confident in what you have to offer if you are offering like 1 to 3 items versus 10 to 15, 50 items. That stuff can come, and then that will allow you to have things to roll out and launch and have new releases. And if you have everything up front at the beginning, then it doesn't really give you anywhere to amount to. You can do it slowly over time. So when you pick one thing to focus on, I think that also helps with being more consistent, because now you're just thinking about, okay, here's this one thing. Let's say you want to create a planner. So you know that you need to reach out to the manufacturer, or that you're going to, even before that, you need to reach out to a designer, or you're going to design it yourself. Before that, you know, you need to come up with the idea of it. Like, what is this planner? Who is this planner for? What's going to be in there? Write out your layout, your outline of what the planner pages are going to be. Then you would get it designed. Then you would reach out to a manufacturer, get pricing, quotes, samples, etc. Then you would get the sample, take the pictures. And I'm literally walking you through a process, but it takes it of knowing like what you're focusing on. So imagine now if you did that, but now you're doing that with like 30 things. That could be a lot, you know? So I think if you just start with like a small collection to start, like if you have a journal, a pen, and a mug or something, or you have a couple of shirts you want to come out with to start, I think it just makes it so much easier for you to first just solidify your brand and what you are, what you're about, and how you want to sell these things to people. But it also really just solidifies where you're going and what your focus is, because you don't have 10,000 things going on and you're like, oh my gosh, this is like me personally. Even though it may come off very consistent to you guys, I do have a lot of moving parts and I'm still just one person. So between trying to do the subscription box, trying to manage my regular shop and, you know, come out with things regularly for that, staying present on all my different social media platforms, my Facebook group, making videos. I also have this coaching business as well. It's a lot, and it's very hard to know what to focus on first, which to me, in my eyes, leads to inconsistency. And so even though it may come off like, oh, she's so consistent, behind the scenes, you guys, I am like all over the place. There's things that are happening at the last minute, and that is because I've put a lot on my plate. And so I don't want that same thing for you. I think that it's very gradual. It should be a very gradual process, and it should be something that you take on as you are able to, as you have the capacity to do it. If you have friends and family that can help, enlist in them, y'all. You know, if you can hire somebody, get that help as well, because all of that stuff is really what's going to lead you down the road to success, to consistency, to growth, to sales, to building your business, your platform that you want people to continue to come and support. And I think that is just really important. And then the last piece to just round all of this out is to show up for yourself. And I think that that is above all what consistency is about in any aspect of our life. Whether you're trying to eat healthier, maybe you're trying to work out more, maybe you want to stay in touch with somebody that you've been losing touch with. There's so many things in our lives where we are inconsistent, but we wish we could be. And it really all just comes down to showing up. You know, I think it's really easy to just kind of put something off, and especially when it's your business and you know it's just you, it's very easy to be like, I'll just do it tomorrow. I'll just do it next week. But that's where that entrepreneur mindset comes in of like, okay, well, if I don't do it today, then that's going to push back this thing that I have to do. That's going to affect this thing that I have to do. So you have to almost kind of shift your mindset in a way of like, you're not working for someone, you're working for yourself. And just the same way that you would go to work, clock in, and do the tasks that are asked of you, you have to do that same thing for yourself, if not even more. So showing up is by far one of the most important things about being consistent, because if you continue to put it off, that is the reason why you feel the way you may feel, because you're not putting in that time or really giving yourself, I hate to really say it, but you're almost shortchanging your worth by not giving yourself the attention. You're able to do it for everyone else. You're able to do it for your job and your family and your friends. But when it comes to you and your business, you kind of are just like, oh, it's okay. Let me go do this for so-and-so. Your business needs to be important to you. It needs to be a priority, and that will be what leads to you being consistent. And that's just a little bit of tough love, y'all, but it's just so true. And it's something that I deal with and I have to tell myself all the time. Like, it's very easy to get wrapped up in all of the things and saying yes to everybody. And then at some point you have to be like, okay, hold up now. I'm completely losing sight or losing track of what I'm supposed to be doing, and it's setting me back. So just really think about that when you are deciding you want to start this business. It is about, trying to fit it into your days. I gave a lot of tips on that, but then it also is about actually showing up as well. So I hope that this video helped you guys so much. Above all, we can take away this word consistency and we can really apply it to any avenue in our life, honestly. Thank you so much for watching the video. If you enjoyed it, definitely give it a thumbs up. Subscribe to my channel if you have not already. And I would love to know down below, if you feel comfortable, I always say that, if you feel comfortable sharing, let me know what is one of the biggest things that has been holding you back from getting your business started that has led to inconsistency. I would love to know about that. All of the information down below for the First 10 training is there as well. Again, you guys, I promise you, you do not want to miss this. It's the last time I'm teaching it live. And then it will be kind of moving to almost more of like a self-guided course kind of thing. So it'll be a little bit more, and it'll be just intimate as this is, because I want to be able to offer it to people at any time when they want to sign up. And it would be hard for me to continue to teach it live, but I do want to offer these last 2 dates for you guys if you're interested. So just click the link down below, see what the dates are, and learn all about the training to see if it is the right fit for you. And that is it. So I'll see you guys in the next video. Thanks for watching. Bye.